What's up, y'all? We are live. Yes, I'm a couple minutes behind, y'all. Everyone relax. Um, all right. Look, we're gonna get into this. We've got some people here. We'll wait a few minutes as we always do to let people kind of jump in. But I'm gonna be playing a couple clips. We're gonna be talking about exactly what the title and thumbnail is saying, right? Is the truth about aliens indigestible? Right? Is it too dark, as Nick Pope once put it? Are they tricksters, as Jacques Vallée has implied? Let's talk about it. See where people are at. Right? This should be interesting for sure. So look, as we always do, it's a tradition here on any live stream at the very beginning for me to tell y'all I'm here. I'm live streaming in Texas. Please tell me in the chat where you guys are watching from. I'd like to know. And I'll shout it out here. We got New Zealand. I got Tahana White with New Zealand. London. Here, we'll throw them up on the screen. London. Love that. Bay Area, California, sweet. North Wales, Lancashire. What's up, Brookers? Finland, Massachusetts, Estonia, Ohio, Charlotte, Budapest. Oh no, I'm getting lost here. Okay. Prague. I'm just gonna say them out loud. Scotland, Florida, Yorkshire, sorry. Arkansas, love it. Sheffield, UK, Turkey, Utah, North Texas. What's up, Jessica Heiser? How we doing, y'all? North of England, Toronto, Rochester, Australia, Virginia, Lebanon, Cranberry, PA, Sheffield, also Denmark. Marcus is from the cheese, Wisconsin, Brentwood, Tennessee, Mexico City. Oh, all right. I love it. DF, that's where my mom's from, man. Coyoacán. Portugal, Atlanta. Oh, we got a lot of people from the UK. I love it. Georgia, Colorado, Oregon, Argentina, Youngstown. Love it. UK, Geesboro. Hope I'm saying that right. Sacramento. Oh, always wanted to go there. Buford, Georgia. I didn't skip you, Mark. I see you, buddy. What's up, Mark? Humboldt County. Oh, wow. Great cheese from there. Alabama, Serbia, Connecticut. That's what I'm talking about. Alabama. Love me some Alabama. New Jersey, Gulf Coast. Yeah, we got the Georgia boys in the house. South UK, Sweden, Ireland, Philippines, Oklahoma City. Love it. We got a couple people from Humboldt. Washington State. Got some friends up there. Scotland, Mississippi. Oh, I love it. God, there's just everywhere. Southern Indiana. Oh, so cool. Leafy West, London. That's cool. I guess that's I've only been to London once, so I don't really know. Leafy West. That must be a part of. Oh, West London. Got it. Is it a bit stabby there? That's what I was told. San Diego. Whoa, what? Dak. Calm down now. Upstate New York, Central Valley, Florida again, Havana, South Africa. I love it. Gosh, guys, we're from all over here. This is awesome. All right, look, I think we got enough people in here. Thank you guys so much for joining the chat. Let's jump into this conversation, y'all. It's something I've been thinking about a lot, to be honest with you. I've had several conversations about this. The idea that, again, just basing it off the title and thumbnail that I made, right? Is the truth about aliens indigestible? Because that seems to be a theme that's going around, right? Can we as the public, it's kind of a two-parter question. Can one person handle the truth? And can the public handle the truth, right? Or is it broken down between private and public, right? Can private entities handle the truth, but the public as a whole cannot, right? Because as you'll see as we get into this, it kind of it falls apart a little bit for me. Not gonna lie. So look, let's start with the clip that started that term, indigestible. Let me bring it up here. First of all, I want to give a shout out because we're going to be playing 2 clips today from Engaging the Phenomena. All right. And so I want to give a shout out to James Iandoli, who I've had on the podcast. Please check out that interview. And he's just been kicking ass with these interviews, man. I got to admit, again, he's a really great interviewer. Okay. I really like the way he asks questions. I think he may send them the questions ahead of time. The next time I talk to James, I'd like to know that, but I can tell some questions are off the cuff. And look, there's nothing wrong with sometimes giving people an idea of what you're going to talk about. They can prepare thoughts as well. There's nothing really wrong with that. Not something I do personally. I might at the very, very beginning, right before I start an interview, say, hey, I want to bring up these topics, but literally 30 seconds before we go. But not always. I don't ever give the exact questions I'm going to ask because you never know. And I'm not saying he is. I just got a sense of that watching both of them. But James he's such a great interviewer. These are great interviews. Please go check both of them out. I'm going to play this one from Jim Simian and then Peter Levenda. I hope I'm saying that right. So this first clip is kind of where it all starts here, right? Which is the truth indigestible. So let's hear from Jim Simian, who again is ex-CIA, part of the To the Stars Academy. And again, on Engaging the Phenomena. Great show, great stuff. It's bringing up all these great conversations. So I'm all about it. And James is just such a soft-spoken, well-articulated dude as well. So shout out to him and shout out to Jim for answering these questions. All right, let's play it and go.
So I'm torn. I'm torn. I've had people who I know are in the know, and I've mentioned this before, and one of them told me the truth is indigestible. It's not something that we would be able to fully grasp or entertain, and that it's like, it would be like telling somebody something that they can't do anything about, and they don't know what the repercussions of that would be. It's so great. It's so world changing and transformational, and maybe not in a good way, so.
I mean, what could be so jarring? What could be so disruptive? I mean, bless you. Like the idea that we're being visited by another advanced intelligence that's more advanced than us. I mean, do you think, or is it something else?
I think it's much deeper than that. I think, if you talk to the ordinary American, I mean, it's so funny. We're talking about this. The listeners that are out there, we're part of a group, right? A very, very small group internationally, and that care about this topic and care about this subject. But we're really, really a niche, a group, and we're fellow travelers, but we're very, very small. And this phenomenon doesn't impinge on most people's personal lives. Maybe it impinged on yours, James, and on mine, and maybe some of the listeners out there. And it's very real to us, and we want to find out what it's all about, and that's understandable. And I'm all for that. But if you're, Lou once mentioned to me, we were chatting about this, and I asked Lou one day what he thought, and he drew a Venn diagram, on a board, and and in the middle of the Venn, was, well, one side was consciousness and the other side was quantum theory. And the shaded part in the middle, he said, that's probably where this is. And when you think about that, what are the two things we really don't know all that much about, or that, could be extraordinarily scary? And consciousness, is it local or is it, non-local? If it's not local, not produced by the brain or the body or the mind, it really means that there is a universal consciousness that we're part of, that we're tapping into. Quantum theory, in the very early days of quantum theory in the 20s and 30s, most of the people who grasped what it actually meant was that we're immaterial, that we're basically an illusion, and that atoms in general, we've come to find this to be true, are just basically invisible. There's no matter there, and that we're just energy forms. Well, think about that for a second. If that's the case, how would the president describe that? How would the president go on national television and say, maybe he tried to do a controlled, and I'm sure, and I know they've thought about this, and I know they thought about ways to do this, and they never can come to any kind of agreement, and they always come to the agreement that it's probably best not to say anything until we have a better understanding. But what the hell do you say? I mean, you come out and you say, there's another presence in the universe which visits us. And we don't understand it, but it's capable of transforming itself into anything it wants to do. It can manipulate matter. It can manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum. It can show us things that may be real or may not be real. It can be real and not real at the same time. I mean, you can just go on and on and on. And then this whole idea of sovereignty comes in, free will comes in. And then you're worried about, will society be able to withstand it? Will socioeconomically, what will happen? Will things stop religiously? There are so many aspects surrounding this. Now,
okay, so look, that's a little bit more than that clip that I wanted to play. But before I play this next clip that I have here, in fact, let me bring it up. Again, the idea becomes, Jim's like, well, let's work our way backwards to the last comments he said, right? Is what's the president going to do? Come out and say this XYZ? Yeah, exactly what you just said. That's what the president could say. There are things now in this world we don't understand that we use every day. I don't know how my iPhone works. I don't know how, my computer works, TV. There's so many different things that we don't really understand how they work, and different theories. And I mean, we're aware that we're on a rock spinning around in what seems to be an infinite amount of space, stars, black holes. We can comprehend a lot. We can understand a lot of society, right? We build rockets and get out of the atmosphere. As Jim Carrey said in Dumb and Dumber, we landed on the moon. Right. We can understand some things. You can tell us the truth. People theorize about this more than anything. In fact, our imagination about what the truth is far more scary than the actual truth, in my opinion, because we don't have any limits to that, and we just take it every which way. You know what I mean? If in the same breath you're going to say we don't understand consciousness and then try to define consciousness and how it works with the phenomena. Think about that. You just said we don't understand consciousness. I think that's something we can all agree with. So then how can you define consciousness and how it relates to the phenomena? It doesn't work. Doesn't make sense. It's all theory. It's all speculation. They don't know. So to say it's just indigestible. Well, it's not. Clearly it's digestible for someone. Clearly people know, quote unquote, the truth, and they digested it just fine. I don't think that's a problem that the government or people in the know or in the program or whatever should even be worried about. Give us the truth. We'll deal with it. We'll be fine. And if we're not, then it's better than what we have now. What's better? To come out and say what Jim said, right? The phenomena, we don't understand it, this, that, the other, all these things, or just let people run wild with their imaginations, let people come out with fake stories and hoaxes and completely manipulate, society and different groups of people. That's better? I don't think so. And if the phenomena is already abducting people and taking them away and showing up, right? You got millions of people with experiences. What are we talking about? The truth isn't digestible. It doesn't make sense. And can we know all of the truth? Is there just a wall at the end of this truth journey that we hit and go, yep, that's it. We know all the truth. No. But keep us updated. Information is power. So as a public, we need that information. Yeah, I would like to know if that is true. People are being abducted, whatever. Yeah, that would be better than not knowing. A lot of people just assume that already. A lot of people assume we've already been visited. I don't buy this argument, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's dangerous. I'm just saying, me personally, I don't buy it. Now, granted, pardon me. Again, they're just speculation. They're just theorizing. He's just saying, what if, right? But the problem is, it kind of bleeds. They bleed in from what if to, no, this is actually what's happening, right? So you start going, well, what the F? I don't know. So look, there's this next clip that I'm gonna play from Peter Levenda. Look, I'll get to all the comments and stuff after I play these clips, y'all. So I'm not reading any of the comments right now. My apologies. Save your questions. I'll get to them afterwards. But look, let's get to this next clip because there's a part in this next clip that Peter Levenda says that I have a hard disagreement with. Okay, and I'll explain when it comes up. But Peter Levenda is an author. I hope I'm saying that name right, by the way. He's an author, and he wrote the Secret Machines nonfiction books with Tom DeLonge, right? And the third book just came out called War, Secret Machines War. And he's out sort of doing a press tour on that. So please go check out the links in the description, which I haven't put there yet, actually. So that's on me. But after the end of the video, I'll put the links in the description. Go check out the book. I actually do want to read these Secret Machines books. I haven't. There's 3 of them. The whole set's out. I do want to read these. So anyway, let's just play the clip and I'll discuss. This clip in particular, I'm going to start and stop. Okay. So just FYI, this will be a little bit longer.
And that's why we started asking these questions in the very beginning with gods and then man and now war. We're saying, wait a minute, can we look at this whole process from a different perspective? Can we see what other countries are doing? How do they view it, right? Obviously, we had for many years this fear of communism. Communist countries didn't have a fear of communism. They were already communist. So what were they afraid of, really? Were they afraid of American imperialism, quote unquote? Possibly. That didn't seem to be their reason for being. It wasn't China's reason for being. They didn't much care. As somebody did a lot of business in China in my lifetime, to the Chinese, America was kind of out there. Yes, they were sometimes an enemy, but we kind of also admired them. We liked their technology. We liked their money. We don't like their ideology. It was very confusing ideas about America. The world is full of different perspectives on this. Ours is not the only one. So in Secret Machines War, we said, what did the Chinese do? How do they approach this? What do the Russians do? How do they approach this? The Russian approach was very interesting. In some cases, they kind of waved at the UFOs and tried to communicate with them using sign language, right?
I'm sorry, what? They tried to use sign language with the UFOs flying around? This is not, by the way, this is not the part that I super disagree with, but I find this very interesting. So they see a UFO flying around and they're just like, I'm not making fun of sign language. I'm just doing like they think that is what is the aliens are going to be like, oh, there's our language. He's signing to us. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even get that, if I'm being honest. Now, granted, he's about to say they thought maybe they were American technology, and then they realize, oh, maybe I don't think they're American. There's something else. So they sign to them. I think trying to sign to a craft flying around is ridiculous anyway. I mean, that's just crazy. So, and these soldiers just knew sign language? And there's different types of sign language depending on what language, right? There's Spanish sign language, English sign language, Russian sign language, Chinese sign language, if that's how you say it, or Mandarin sign language. I don't know. Either way, what the F is going on? I mean, that's crazy.
And they responded. According to Russian government documents, there was a kind of a communication set up between the two of them.
They responded to the sign language? Again, what are we talking about here? That makes zero sense, y'all. I'm sorry. Now, that doesn't mean it's not true, but I'm having a hard time understanding that, right? And then, right, people will say, well, Patrick, you're thinking about it, as a human. Yeah, I don't have a choice. That's it. That's the only perspective I can take. What's the term? Anthropomorphize or something like that. I can't remember the term exactly. Right. That gets thrown around a lot, right? Because we say, oh, well, how can you say, why do aliens have light? Why do UFOs have lights? You're giving a human perspective on it. Yeah, that's all we have. Everyone is giving a human perspective on everything, on every theory, on every talk. Even that comment back to me about, hey, you're giving it a human perspective. Right. So that needs to just fly out the window because that doesn't make any sense. There's no way around that. Literally, no one can escape that at any moment on this earth. That's a human being. You will always look at it from a human perspective. You have no choice. What am I looking at from a turtle's perspective? So yeah, of course I'm going to be like, why are they signing to them? And then the aliens responded. Again, where's this information coming from? I don't get it. I just don't like this indigestible idea that the truth is too dark. We can't accept it. Humanity's not ready, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I don't buy that. Tell us the truth. Tell us what's going on. We deserve to know. Not just that we deserve to know, we have the right to know. I really feel that way.
Right. In our case, we just want to blow them out of the sky, right? But in Russia, they said, well, we can't. They show up. Maybe they're American. That was the first reaction of the Russians. Maybe these are American craft, drones that are sent to spy on us. But the technology was out of sight. So it began to warm up to the idea this was something else. How do you deal with this? Is this a threat? What if we just say hi? What happens? What if we just say hello and not try to shoot them out of the sky, right? And when do they show up? We can plot when they show up, the Russians said. Every time you do a big military maneuver, they show up. So, okay, let's fake it. Let's fake a big military maneuver and see what happens. And sure enough, they would show up. That told us a couple of different things. One, they didn't know it was a fake military maneuver, right? Why? How come they didn't know that? They seem to know everything else, right?
How do you know they didn't know it was fake? How can we trust the Russians on this and what they're saying? Again, that's the problem with this, is that things during speculative discussions, little nuggets get thrown in as if they're fact. And then you build on that when it hasn't been even proven yet. Right? And that becomes the problem. That's why this topic is so murky. It's just like trying to look underwater in a lake. It's like just impossible. Because there's so much out there from every country, all kinds of stories that don't match up, that are all contradicting each other. Some people, this is truth, this is speculative, this is a theory, it gets all confusing. It gets so confusing. And I'm equally confused. But again, we're going to stay on topic for this video. It's literally just talking about, do we have the right to know as the public this information? Is it too dark for us? And if it is, does that even matter? That's my argument. I don't care. If you think it's too dark or indigestible or this or that or perfect for us or wherever on the spectrum you think, I don't care. We deserve to know. Bottom line, messy, not messy. Give us the information. Even, let's just think about all the people on Earth who have been affected by this phenomena. Right? Millions of people across time. So for them, let's do it. For these people that have these encounters all the time, some that aren't so good, some that they say are, just for them. And then for the rest of us, just prepare to know, to move forward. It's like with that argument, the truth is too dark or it's indigestible. With that argument, we'll never get disclosure. Ever. If we let that argument continue, we will never get disclosure. They'll use that till the end of time to never tell us. All right, let's continue. We're about to get to the part that I actually very much disagree with.
Or maybe they did know that and they're just playing along. We got to follow this further. More experimentation needs to be done, but they did show up. You could plot it. You could make them show up. Are we aware of that here? Is our establishment aware of that? Can they make these things show up? Maybe they can. Maybe you send a couple of destroyers or a couple of aircraft carriers out into the Pacific somewhere and fly around and then see what happens. See if they show up, right?
Well, according to a lot of people in this topic, they can make them show up. And in fact, they do. Michael Herrera, for instance, right? Apparently, there's a whole group that uses hybrid psionic human beings to attract the UFOs, and then we shoot them down. So clearly, this is what I mean by how stories don't line up. Why isn't Peter Levenda talking about these psionic beings? Again, because Michael Herrera is getting brought up a lot. Jason Sands is bringing him up. I'm doing a video about Jason Sands next week and update everyone on all that because there's way more about his story. But I am so worried. I'm going to tell y'all right now, if this idea of Michael Herrera pushing that story and everything we're in is not good. You right there, psyop. Right? So I'm just confused by all this. Because again, it just doesn't line up. So how do I even put my thoughts together? How can I build on my thoughts when I can't even get the base story right? If that makes sense, right? And now we want to talk about, well, we can't actually give you the truth because you just can't handle it. Okay. But I can handle you telling me that, right? What's the difference? You've already said what the truth is, right? So is it people in government that need to be convinced that we can handle it? Because there's only one way they're going to be convinced of anything, like all politicians. Money. That's it. I don't care about, if that's the argument, they don't actually care how it affects the American people. But we're talking more on a philosophical level, right? Which is what Peter is talking about. On a philosophical level, can we handle this? Even Jim. Again, I disagree. All right, let's continue here.
What attracts them? Are we in the beginning of understanding a kind of a relationship with them, a symbiotic relationship with this phenomenon? And that brings us to the next chapter of this. What role does consciousness play in this whole conversation, right? Because we keep hitting up against this wall. This indigestible aspect is consciousness. It's the one thing our establishments do not study, don't even really take seriously, except in terms of psychological warfare. But we don't really break it down into how can we understand consciousness and thereby understand the phenomenon? What is our role? How do we use consciousness studies to approach this? How do we use psychology, philosophy, religious studies, all of that stuff? Don't they have a piece of the puzzle? Can't they help us to understand this? And this is the thing everybody hates, right? because especially here in the West, we put things in boxes. We categorize everything. Everything's in a separate category. You mix consciousness studies in with the UFO phenomenon, and you lose half your audience right away. They want to see a dead alien, or they want to see a captured UFO. They want to see, show me a dead alien, show me the saucer. Don't talk to me about consciousness. Don't talk to me about this, because that's squishy. It's soft science. We can't really use it. We can't rely upon it. We can't rely upon what's discovered.
That's where I absolutely vehemently disagree with Peter here. Let's break that down. People want to see a crashed UFO and a dead alien because consciousness, you bring that in, it's just too squishy. It's just too much. No, that's not the reason. The reason is because we've been told that we have crashed UFOs and dead bodies. That's why people are asking to see them. Let's be real. I'm a little heated right now. I apologize. Let me bring it down. I'm just passionate. Right? The reason we are asking for to see crashed UFOs and aliens isn't because we can't handle the idea of consciousness, because that's what we've been told by so many people, that we have those things. So of course we're asking to see them. Am I wrong here? Again, this is left up to your opinion, right? You decide for yourself. But me personally, that makes zero sense. We're asking to see UFOs and bodies because there are countless stories of people saying we have them, and that we have programs that study them, and that we've created reproduction vehicles of these UFOs, right? You got Danny Sheehan was on telling me about a helmet from Roswell that I'd never heard of that controls the craft. Of course, we want to see these things that you're talking about, right? Again, the Michael Herrera story saying that there's these machines that we hook up psionic hybrid beings to, so they can use their mind to bring UFOs, and then we shoot them down. And then, by the way, we kill those psionic people. Well, of course, we want to see these things that you're telling us. We want to see the crash craft from Roswell and the bodies that got covered up. It's not that we can't handle consciousness. We've already agreed in the beginning that nobody understands consciousness. People are willing to theorize and speculate all day long about consciousness. It's not that that's too squishy. That has nothing to do with it. It is strictly, we've been told those stories. That's why we're asking to see it. If no one had ever said we have crash craft and aliens, I don't know if people would be asking to see them. But those people who have made those claims, they're the ones that started that. The people responding saying, oh, okay, show me the thing you said you saw. That's all that's happening. Take UFOs and take alien bodies out of it. All we're asking is, show me the thing you said exists and that you saw, and that you claim our government has, or this government has, or this private aerospace company has. That's all we're asking for, are the receipts. Right? That's all that is. So it doesn't matter that it's UFOs or bodies or whatever. That's moot. That's a moot point. All we're asking for are the things that people have said exist. And I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for that. And it has nothing to do that, well, if you're asking for that, that means you just can't handle the idea of consciousness. You're not ready for it. What? But you are? But you are ready for it? I love the idea that some people are stuck on, yeah, I can handle it. My brain can. These other people, they're newbies, man. They can't handle all of this. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. We all just have different standards of evidence. And some people's standards may be the same. They've just seen more or invested more time into it than other people. And it's not that we're so different. We can't, some people can really handle, other people cannot. I mean, sorry. But I really, when I was listening to this, that really bothered me. This point about, well, people are asking for UFOs and bodies. And yeah, let's not forget that. Let's not forget to keep asking for that. I don't want the conversation to move to consciousness and these things we clearly don't understand. We shouldn't stop asking for the receipts. Where are those UFOs you said exist? That's why we're asking for it, not because I can't handle the consciousness. So I think I've made that point. I don't want to be a dead horse. I'm going to play a little bit more of this clip, and then I'm going to take some comments and questions on the live chat. So get them ready.
That's not true. We can, but we have to approach it the right way. We have to approach this, quote unquote, scientifically, but we can penetrate into this. We can understand that a lot of what we see as the UFO phenomenon is not taking place out there. It's taking place in here.
Well,
There's a lot of it here. I mean, people have different eyewitnesses, see different things, hear different things, as they always do at every crime scene. But they all agree on one thing: a crime was committed. And this
That's not true either. I'm sorry. I disagree. Respectfully, I just disagree.
the same thing with the UFO phenomenon and the contactees. They're not going to match what they've seen, but they've seen something. An event took place that they were witnesses to.
And I've seen that happen personally on a number of occasions, while doing maybe something I shouldn't be doing, according to Tom, which is the, inviting a kind of a close encounter, right? Where people are human initiated contact events or CE5 and that kind of thing. And I've had a number, including daytime sightings, where this like ruby red object came in, and I saw it as almost a sphere, and the person that was with me saw it almost as a triangle, and they actually drew out exactly what they saw, and the color was exact, but the shape was a little different. But nonetheless, that theme is something Jacques Vallée has written to a lot. And one thing I'm interested in is how, Peter, or do you and To the Stars, or the Secret Machines kind of ideology or philosophy look at how do you reconcile between there seem to be craft that are physical, you can record them, there are allegedly recoveries of these objects and bodies, with the metaphysical or psychic component. It's something that was addressed in Jacques Vallée's UFOs, the Psychic Solution. So how do you reconcile between the seemingly physical objective manifestation and the psychic or metaphysical component?
Great question, James.
I'll give you an example. In another bunch of books I wrote called Sinister Forces, I wrote about the Nine. I wrote about these seances that were being held in Maine in 1952, 53, around that time. And during the seance, this particular seance, and you had Andrija Puharich, a very famous guy, and he was surrounded by an Astor and a DuPont, and all these scions of very wealthy families were all in this room. And there was a man from India, and this man from India then is channeling the Nine, which, as it turns out, are 9 beings living on a spacecraft of some sort in low Earth orbit, as we find out later in the history of it. But at that moment, they didn't really associate it with the flying saucer. But this was the idea. But during that ceremony, there was the manifestation of apports, and there were threads that showed up all over the place. But there were threads that they would bind around their wrists. This was like a Brahmanic initiation thing. And so things would materially appear during these seances, or at least during one of the seances. And that was an indication that they were, in communication with something otherworldly. The idea of an apport, you find that in different cultures, but you find that a lot. It's from India and the subcontinent in general. You'll find ideas about the apport, material things that come in to being They're physical and they're tangible. And then sometimes they disappear after they've been tangible for a while. Now in the West, we say, well, that's just stage magic. This was somebody trying to fool somebody. This was a sleight of hand or something. But this was a guy who, Dr. Vinod, who was very well known, very well respected in India, had come to the United States to give speeches at, I think, a world religious conference. This was somebody who was kind of a respected guy. He wasn't running around doing stage magic. This was something that was believable, that was part of the culture, and the apports appeared. So there are physical manifestations associated with the phenomenon. And we talk about, well, there's bodies and there's aircraft, and then they disappear. We don't have them. The military says, well, we got them, we take them somewhere. Well, where are they now? Are they still there? Are the physical remnants still there? Or is one of the indigestible things the fact that they're no longer there? They had them for a while, now they don't, right? Is that indigestible? Because that would be indigestible to scientists, to military people, to the intelligence establishment, to have a dead alien on a slab 1 minute and to have that alien missing the next, right? So I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that there's a tradition in religion, Moses with the tablets, right? Where are the tablets that he wrote the 10 Commandments on? Where's the first set that got broken, right? He had one set of tablets. He got mad. He threw them down, although God had evidently written on them. And he threw away those tablets. And he had to go back up the mountain and get a second bunch of tablets, right? How did that happen? What was that all about? What are they trying to tell us with that? Is there a hidden story there that we're not picking up on about these tablets that keep showing up and going missing, like the Ark of the Covenant, right? Which allegedly had the tablets in there, which now everything has disappeared. Another apport, another thing that's gone. We built the Ark with human hands, but then there was something mystical about it, something otherworldly about it. If the wrong person touched it, they got sick, they died. I mean, all this weird stuff happened with this physical thing, and then the physical thing goes missing, right? So there's a tradition. I mean, in Tibet, there's the tradition of the terma and the terton, right? So you have, mystical books that disappear and that reappear later, hundreds of years, if not 1,000 years later. Supposedly, we have a Shambhala, which appears and reappears. So there's a tradition, what I'm saying, in religion and spirituality, of things that appear and disappear, things that have corporeal form, that are physical, and then which disappear. The Virgin Mother assumed into heaven bodily. Enoch assumed into heaven bodily. Elijah assumed into heaven bodily. So we have people that are here and then suddenly are not here. And we don't know how that happened.
All right, I think we get the point. But and shout out to Peter and James for having this conversation. I would love to have a conversation with Peter. I just respectfully disagree on some of the points he's making, and I would be more than happy to vocalize that to him personally. Again, having conversations about this is foundationally the number one most important thing, because we don't get anywhere unless we have these conversations. So I'm happy that they sat down and talked about it. I'd like it to discuss it further, pull another thread out, see what his response would be. But let's also remember, based on the things he's saying right here, right now, human beings lie a lot and have over the course of time, right? Human beings also leverage power by lying to control and manipulate the masses. That is also a big part of history. People hoaxing, the term snake oil salesman, right? The term grifter, hoaxer. Where do these terms come from? Because they're real. There are people like that, a lot of them. So this idea that couldn't be part of this too is, I don't know. I think it's disingenuous, or at the very least, it's insensitive to those who have been burned by that, right? People who have been robbed, whether it be emotionally, physically, financially, from people lying and manipulating to them about a bigger purpose or a bigger cause or a bigger thing that happened, right? We have to be aware of that as well. You know, look, I saw a few comments. I'm going to get to comments right now, but let me make this one statement before I jump into the comments here. You know what? Let's just jump into the comments. All right, I got a couple super chats. Let me bring them up. Mia, $4.99. Thank you so much, Mia. Really appreciate it. All the support helps. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kinsei Sensei says, Patrick, maybe the folks that know can't handle it. How would people at large handle it if they found out that in reality they're video game NPCs? Again, I appreciate the support and I appreciate what you're saying. My point still stands. Yeah, maybe they can't handle it, but maybe they can. I mean, if it's 50-50, then it's just how you look at the glass of water, right? Is it half full or half empty? Why aren't we arguing more that we can handle it? Of course, maybe we can't. I mean, what does that even mean? Clearly, there will be people who can't handle it, but is that the majority? And again, my point would even go further past that. It doesn't matter if people can handle it or not. The truth needs to be realized regardless of how people handle it. You know, that it doesn't even matter. Because when you say folks can't handle it, what do you mean? They'll explode instantaneously, like they'll just spontaneously combust? Their life will fall apart? In what way? In every way? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean can't handle it? Like my brain will just explode when I realize, oh my God, I can't. Yeah, we can handle a lot of thoughts, and we do. And our imagination runs more wild than the truth. So clearly we can handle it, and clearly other people can handle it. And if we have this agreement with the NHI, let's say to them, help us handle it. So again, that to me is me personally. I'm not even going to discuss whether anymore. I mean, I'm kind of done with that thought, I think. Can humans handle it or not? Doesn't matter. That's not the point, in my opinion. And again, I appreciate what you're bringing up, and I totally understand. How would people, in the rest of your question here, how would people at large handle it if they found out in reality they're video game NPCs? We don't know, but that's not the point. That can't be why we don't learn about the truth, because then we'll never learn the truth. Did people ask, how is society going to handle social media? Nope. Companies just started something and it spread, and now it's part of society. We can handle a lot. We're still around, right? This planet is still here. It's created this life. I mean, depending on how you think of the history, humans can handle a lot. We'll be fine. To me, what's worse is not knowing the truth and then trying to, not knowing the truth and then trying to sort of manifest a future reality based on, insufficient information. Right? How can we move forward? We can put plans into action if we know the truth. But we can't do anything if we're just being told, well, you can't handle it. How do you know what I can handle? That's not for you to decide. That's freedom. Freedom is messy. That's just the bottom line, in my opinion. Thank you for your question. I totally get it. Pluto Loco says, people are going to be pissed that all these incredible resources have been available to us, but it's all been hidden for financially reasons. I mean, I agree with that, or many other reasons, right? Yes, we'll be more pissed not knowing. Like sitting around drinking a coffee, at a campfire discussing, well, can humans handle it? I mean, I want to kick that fire over and slap that drink out of that person's hand and go, we'll be fine. Tell us the truth, right? If these meetings are happening, that's what we're wasting our time on. Can we handle it? No. How about tell us the truth and let's put plans in action in place for this truth that we are clearly facing. It's called Secret Machines War. We don't need to know the truth to prepare for this potential war. We have an agreement with the NHI. I'm sorry, but we need details. We need to be voting on that. Tell us the truth and let's move past it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Enough of this. That's just me. That's where I'm at. Angelo Fuerte. Thank you so much for the support, Angelo. Every bit helps. Kinsey is back. Says maybe a few billion people off themselves, or maybe when we find out they cut off the simulation and game over. Here's the problem with that. Both those statements. They're all maybes. Do you get it? They're all maybes. We could say maybe about everything. Maybe humanity becomes the greatest it's ever been. When we hear that knowledge, it makes us set aside our differences and unite as people. That's also a maybe, equally as plausible as the maybes you're putting. And that's the point. The maybes can go forever. We can't get stuck on the maybes, the what ifs, because we'll never move forward. Well, what if this? Well, what if that? Maybe that. Yeah. But let's go. It's already happening. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, that's what we're being told. And some people personally experience it. So it's already happening. So let's just go. Let's dive in. Let's see these things you said you had. Let's start talking about the things you absolutely know for certain and no more speculating. Let's speculate about the things we know for certain, but let's establish what the things we know for certain. Let's get that basic smoking gun evidence out that we know for certain. And then let's start to build off of that. Because right now we're trying to build off, a moving foundation. It's moving around every which way. It's really hard to build off of that. Even people who have had personal experiences, they've told them straight to me with their own voice. I've had an experience, but even I don't know what it was. So you can even have a personal experience and not know what the hell is going on. Imagine not having a personal experience and trying to figure out what's going on. So if this truth is known, or there are some basic truths known, I'm sorry. We need to know. Bottom line, there was not one excuse, in my opinion, that is valid. Well, what if the world blows up? Well, then the world blows up. I don't want to live in a world where this is not the truth, is not known. Because as equally plausible as what if the world blows up, what if the world becomes the greatest it's ever been? And now we can unlock all of this technology that supposedly is being hidden. We can apply it to our daily lives, start helping other humans on Earth who are suffering in many different ways. Right? Now we have a common enemy, if it's an enemy, or at least someone we should be wary of, or a common friend that unites us all, however we want to look at the entities, or if it's multiple. It's not just one thing. But, we deserve to know. That's my opinion. All right, let's move on to some other questions here. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. Oh, Mia I got that. No, thank you, Mia. All right, guys, put your questions here or comments. I'm happy to put some comments. Look, this is the first one. Just saw Deep Thunder. Okay, the majority, in quotes, has known how to live in peace with one another and how to raise our collective consciousness based on ancient text. We still have not used it. We have moved away from it. Okay. All right. Any other questions, y'all? Throw them out. Yeah, they don't even have to be for me. Just questions you have in general. I'm just going to put up some comments. If we don't get some tangible evidence by the end of the year, I'm moving on from this topic. I'm sick of all the, I think you mean unsubstantiated claims. Look, I get it. It's, that's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean you should move on from the topic. Look, I cover this every day. And I have never seen anything that would make me believe any of this. But the possibility is still there for me. I think, again, it's just about setting your expectations right. It's like cheering for a team that you want to win the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals or, the World Series, right? You just keep rooting for your team. You don't leave when they don't win every year. You stick around, right? What do they call that? A fair weather fan or something like that? I can't remember. But I get the frustrations. Maybe some people do need to dip out and just kind of come back and go. Like, I get it. But this idea of, well, they're just stories, that's not going to change. The only thing that's coming out more are more stories, more theory, more speculation. I'm actually okay with that. I like having the conversations about it. But I'm not going to move the goalpost. The goalpost for me is still, sorry, I need to see the things you say exist. You're saying we have crashed UFOs. You're saying we have these things. You're saying we have bodies. Great. Consciousness. All great. What about that? That's what I understand right now. So that's what I need. I can't be moved into another, well, you need to understand consciousness. We don't understand consciousness. Nobody does. Not science, whether you believe in UFOs or aliens or not. We don't even understand the universe. We don't understand a lot of things. I don't see that ever changing. Again, what's this wall of knowledge that we hit? That's like, yep, we know everything. Well, there'll always be things we don't understand. So that can't stop us from knowing the current truths we do understand. You can't set those aside until we understand more. Like, I'm not into that. Michael Wells says, what tangible evidence would satisfy you? Well, Michael, I would say just what people have purported exists. Does that make sense? So I just want to see receipts of the things that have already been said exist. So I'm not going to decide what tangible evidence I need to see. I'm saying, you're saying these crashed UFOs exist? Great. Let me see them. You're saying these bodies exist? Great. Let's see them. You're saying these reverse engineering programs exist, that we back engineer this technology and create reproduction vehicles. Great. Let's see them. So it's not what tangible evidence what would satisfy me is people just showing the receipts for the claims they've made. That's it. But look, I still agree that there are things flying around. We don't know what they are. That has been admitted by presidents, by generals, by all kinds of people, pilots. I agree. There are things flying around. We don't know what they are. So I am in agreement with putting some tax dollars towards a program to study this, to report on it. I'm all for that. I'm all about it, because there's definitely something happening and we need to know what that is. And then on top of that, you got millions of people with personal experiences, personal sightings, people that I hear their story. They tell me, I don't think they're lying to me. Now, what they interpret as what they saw might be up for discussion, and it is. But I definitely feel that an event happened and they saw something or experienced something, So I'm into looking into this and investing, money towards that. But as far as what evidence, I think a lot of people need to see that would make them go, okay, yeah, I believe this 100%, without a doubt, this is true. Is just people, again, filling in the blanks that they left in their claims, right? They left blanks in the claim. Just fill them in. That's it. Provide the things you say exist. You've told us you've told us these things exist. Just provide that. That will be sufficient for me. Me personally. Okay, Robert. Thank you, Robert, so much, man. Really appreciate that. He says, do you think Mr. Trump, now changed by recent events, is more of a threat to those holding UFO secrets? I don't know. That's a great question, man. And, Danny Sheehan brought that up in our interview. Had some great interviews, by the way. Go check them out on the channel if you haven't already. I interviewed Danny Sheehan, Brandon Fugel, and Steve Bassett this past week. Great lineup of interviews, so please go check those out. Yeah, I don't know. It's possible, right? And I've talked about this in the last year, is that a voting issue for people? And how serious of a voting issue is it for people? UFO disclosure. So would you back a Republican candidate, even though you voted Democratic your whole life, but because they are for UFO disclosure, that's more important to you than anything? Clearly, this will be on a spectrum, and different people will have different thoughts about that, right? How far they're willing to let their political ideologies go for other things they may fight for. But this one is just more important, right? So a lot of times people do put up one or two causes at the forefront of their political, motivations as being, whether it be, abortion, gun rights, whatever it is, right? That's it. So is UFO disclosure one of those? Is it better to pick Democrats or Republicans, or is it more nuanced than that? It's particular people, and it's nonpartisan. I don't know, but it's a great question for sure. We won't know till it comes, but it's definitely a possibility. Great question, Robert. Cat Eyes says, "What's up, Cat Eyes?" Cat's eyes. I always say that wrong. I always say cat eyes. I like that better. I don't think Bodies and Craft would even convince me anymore, lol, even though I'm a reptilian in the afterlife. I mean, it's possible. Until you see it, you don't know if it would convince you. Does that make sense? It's like saying me giving you a plate of food and saying, is it good? And you haven't even taken a bite yet. Well, I don't know. And you just read it off the menu. Well, it sounds good. And then you see it and you go, well, it looks good. But until you bite into it, you don't know if it's convincing, if it's good. So until we actually see the things that, again, we're not making the claims out here in the public sphere. We're just, there are people out there who have said certain things exist. We're just saying, okay, show us that. That's it. Just that evidence. I don't know what evidence to ask for. I have no idea. But if they're saying, oh, there's these craft, and some people say there's multiple craft. Some people say we shooting them down every few years, right? I mean, think about this. In my interview with Danny Sheehan, he mentions this helmet from the Roswell crash that I had never heard from. And a lot of people told me I never heard about this from Roswell, right? You think you've heard it all from the most famous UFO case in history, but no. And there's even more information coming out about it in the next few months. But I never heard about this helmet that they found, right? So it's like you're always hearing about these new things that we purportedly have in possession, that I think, if based on what was told about it, if we could see that in action, I think that would be proof for a lot of people. They're saying it's proof for the people that have it, right? So clearly it would probably be proof for us and evidence of it, and we would be convinced. But I don't think it's so wrong to ask for that stuff. They're the ones that said it's even out there. I didn't bring it up. I didn't make these claims. I didn't say there's these crashed UFO. It's like these other people said it. I'm just saying, okay, cool. Well, let's see that. For me to believe, if you're asking me, do I believe, or you want me to believe this thing, which I don't even know what it changes, that wouldn't change my life one way or the other at this point. But for me to believe it, I got to see some things. I do. The things you saying are out there. I got to see some of that. But what does it actually change to be in belief? I don't know. That's another discussion. It's another thread on this discussion that brings out, right? It's like a big bubble and all these little bubbles pop out. And I do enjoy talking about this, if I'm being honest. I'm getting passionate. I'm into it. Yeah, I like that. I like, I don't want to say getting worked up, but getting passionate about something. So I like these discussions and these conversations, and I'm glad we're having them. I'm glad you guys are having them in the chat. I haven't really paid attention to the chat. I hope everyone's being respectful. Please respect the mods. They work really hard. So I'm hoping it's all good. It usually is. So again, shout out to the mods right now for just working this, because I have not paid attention at all. So thank you guys. All right, let's great questions, everybody. Great questions, great comments. I mean that. Oh, this something happened 10 minutes ago. Jessica says big political news just dropped. What is it? What is the big political news? But look, this is not a politics channel. You know what? That's something I can address. Is I may need to reword even some things like in our Discord and things like politics is going to get brought up in the UFO discussion because we have legislation, right? And there's a big discussion around UFO disclosure coming from the government. That's political. UAP legislation, that's political. We talk a lot about Congress and Senate. That's political, right? Things are going to get political, and conversations can be political. I've figured it out. It's more just we don't want it to be partisan, right? So we kind of want nonpartisan political talk is okay, right? In the sense that we're just talking about the nuts and bolts of politics and how things could work, But someone being like, Trump's a bad Trump, you and or Biden all the way, we don't need any of that. I mean, even that's okay if I'm being honest. You're just saying who you support. It's more if we start fighting back, the Democrats are evil and the Republic. I'm not here for any of that. They all drink from the same fountain, y'all. If you think one side's evil, they both are. All right. Let's be real. There's really no difference. But regardless, I wonder what the news is. See, now I'm wondering what it is. Marcus is asking Harris to replace Biden. I don't know, guys. I'm live on here talking, so these comments are kind of old. So I'm probably way, but I am. I'm way behind. Oh God, sorry, y'all. Holy Jesus, I am way behind. Steve says I didn't. What is it? I didn't think this was a political live. It's not, Steve. Calm down, dude. For real. Again, I just explained. If people bring up politics, like it's a part of this topic. I'm not promoting one side or the other. It's not a political live. Clearly, I've been talking for over an hour. Jim Girl says Biden dropped out. This is important, y'all. Thank you, Jim Girl, for saying that. Okay? This has to do with UFO disclosure because, again, we're asking for help from the American government. It's political. We don't need to be partisan. Interesting. Oh, is that true? More people are saying it. Wow. All right. That is big news. That is huge news. Wow. Should I bring something up on that? I don't think I'm going to do that. That's interesting. It will make a difference. Regardless, what difference it will make, I have no idea. But yes, this will make a difference for UFO disclosure. The fact that it's election season, it could go both ways. It could affect it very negatively or positively. But let's be real, the program, if these programs exist, the back engineering programs, they've been around forever. They don't care. Presidents come and go. To them, it's nothing. But this legislation that publicly is trying to be passed in the public eye in the NDAA, the House, the Senate, the executive branch, yeah, it does matter at this point. Right? And let's be real, they don't even ask at any debates, they haven't asked any UFO questions or UAP, right? And media is kind of, I shouldn't say video media. Print media is still kind of going, but video media, I don't know really how to say, that has kind of dropped a little bit on covering the topic, which is why it's important for channels like mine and other channels to cover this and to talk about it, and keep it at the forefront. Chameleon says, do you feel the new Paradigm Institute Danny Sheehan showed would make a difference if shown during Super Bowl ads? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, absolutely. Super Bowl ads go out to so many people. That would be very expensive, though. You know what? I want to bring something up real quick. There's New Paradigm Institute, right? People were confusing Steve Bassett with his Paradigm Research Group. It's different. It's not the same. Okay, so just do want to clear that up. And then I saw this other one. It was like Paradigm Media Group. I was like, guys, stop using Paradigm. Like, oh my God. It is very confusing. I'll be honest. And I can totally see why people got confused. But yeah, that's a great question, Chameleon. I think different people would have different responses there. So look, I understand if some of y'all want to bounce out and go check on this Biden news and everything. I mean, I personally don't need to know more than that. Okay, Biden's dropping out. I'm not going to watch a bunch of news about it. What I'm more curious is who are they going to put in place, which is interesting. Let's put this up. Heiser says the paradigm keeps shifting. You're right. I just mean they just need to find another word. But yes, I agree, Heiser. Shout out to Heiser, man. Heiser works so hard modding for VETTED, and he just works hard in his real life, y'all. Dude's a beast. So shout out to Heiser. Shout out to Brookers, also amazing. Shows up. Always the first one here, y'all. If y'all have come to the live chat a lot, you'll notice Brookers is always the first one there, saying what's up and running things. So thank you to Brookers for doing everything she does. I mean, I wonder who they're going to pick for Biden. It will make a difference on do they support UFO, UAP disclosure. I used to think it was more Republicans that support it, but I'll be honest, I've seen a lot of Democrats very open to the idea. Again, it has become a nonpartisan issue. Look at David Grush's congressional hearing from last year, and I would argue that the next congressional hearing that would come for more whistleblowers to speak, which is going to be a minute, y'all. It's not going to happen anytime soon. It will be nonpartisan as well. I want to keep it that way. I like that. I don't like when it gets partisan within. Again, it's going to get political. And I myself needed to even understand that nuance. So we'll let people come around to it. Will it make a difference? Will it make a difference who gets in? And, I don't know. But even more importantly, we deserve to know. Because if the idea behind the scenes is, well, it's indigestible, the truth is too dark, as Nick Pope once put it, right? Or suggested. He wasn't saying it definitively, Nick Pope. It doesn't matter who's president. We won't find out. Democrat, Republican, it won't matter. So I think we need to start arguing that. In my opinion, me personally, that's my opinion. It doesn't matter if it's indigestible. Let's get it out to the people. We'll figure it out. I think if candidates were more open with how they thought about disclosure, yeah, it would sway some people their way. So will they come out and say that? Maybe. Trump has said it in podcast interviews. I don't know if he said it in a speech exactly, but he has said, hey, he would, I can't remember the exact words. I don't want to misquote him. So I can't remember if he was saying he's for disclosure or if he said, I'll release the files. I mean, there's only so much he can do, even if he wants to. He also said he'd release all the JFK files, and that didn't happen. So why would we get the UFO files? Probably wouldn't. But supposedly Biden's been briefed on it, and we haven't seen anything. Right? I mean, what is it? Haim Eshed, who was the Israeli, I don't really know his exact position, but head of the Israeli Space Agency, I believe. not too long ago suggested that Donald Trump, we had an agreement with NHI. Donald Trump knew about it and he was going to come clean with it. But the aliens basically, I don't know if threaten's the right word, but threatened him to not come clean with that because he was going to. Again, there's a whole story there with that story. It's quite interesting, but it is interesting that guy said all that, Michael says briefed is not the same as read in. Yeah, fair enough. That's a fair point. Definitely a fair point. Military industrial complex runs this. Congress gutted the bill. Some people think now it's, that it got gutted the way it got gutted was on that's actually okay. That's what they knew was going to happen. They knew those things were going to get taken out, but they wanted certain things to go through. Because if you've noticed, they're putting basically the same thing back in. Not much has changed, if anything, from last year's. Right? So, I don't know. And look, it does take time legislatively for any movement you're trying to move the needle on. Anything. It's not going to be the first year. Bam, we got it. I mean, we don't have in America, weed isn't even legal all over the country. It's going state by state. There's so many different topics we could bring up that it just takes so long. So, things have moved forward in a big way than before. It's just where are you looking to see the differences? You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's like I just want to know already what's going on. God, I would love to just see one of these UFOs that people say is out there. I mean, that would, for so how many people, right? Even for people who are quote unquote know it exists because they've had a personal experience, even they would be just as excited to see like a UFO brought out and like, here it is, y'all. Yes. But there's just nothing like that in our history to reference. Like when is a press conference like that about something else happened? It doesn't really, So I don't know. Be interesting how they would cover it, what it would be. This is a great comment from Terrence here. It's the lies that are indigestible, not the truth. Bam. Well said. I'm stealing that. That's it. It's the lies that are indigestible. I love that. And look, I think for people that have had personal experiences, and I think they'd equally want the truth, right, out and known. So that, let's be real, they tell people and people, oh, you're crazy. This would help those people too. Because they can be like, look, see, I wasn't crazy. This is now you see. Right. And I get that. If I had had a personal experience and it was pretty terrifying or even just awesome and fantastic, and I would want that. I would want it to be out in the public so I could talk to people and it'd be cool, right? And share this experience, because that would also be terrifying to have an experience and then feel like you can't talk about something that's just so crazy that happened to you. You would want to talk about. I mean, that's what we are as humans. Our consciousness, our brains, right? The same thing we're questioning is the thing we're using to question it. Right? We're investigating ourselves. Is our consciousness playing tricks on us? Like, our consciousness can allow us to even question it. And then we're using that same thing to try to figure it out because we have no choice. This is it. We're locked in. William says we'll have 10 times a million alien movies if we get disclosure. Absolutely. There'll be documentaries like Follow Around Aliens or something, right? Eventually it would get to the point where there's like Undercover Boss, but with aliens, right? Like I think it would just blend itself into society. You'd see reality shows with aliens, you know, like My Little Alien, and like, you know what I mean? Like on TLC and shit. Like you know, probably like a home remodeling show with aliens, right? Like zoom, 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 then just zip it all together, and like I mean, I see it. I just see us that way. You know, that's what we do. Who wants to marry an alien? Exactly. Which, let's be real, these would be great shows. You know, Aliens Got Talent, and then we just see all these different aliens come out and show us their talents. Or we end up on their shows. Do they even have shows? Do we lose shows? Is it advance? You start to advance. Does entertainment go away? Does art and entertainment? And what does it become? If we were to compare art and entertainment to, let's say, 2,000 years ago, some people would say we have gone off our rockers. Right? I don't know. What's past that? It's all very interesting. So, look, I'm going to wrap up here at 1:30. So I got 7 more minutes. Make sure I haven't missed any questions, y'all. Thank you to everybody for watching and throwing out your opinions and your questions. I want everyone to be able to get their opinions out because it is kind of divisive. I get it. And it's difficult. I hope the one thing we can agree on is we all want the truth. Now, you may disagree. Well, we can't handle it that, but at least, you know, we all want the truth, right? Don't we? Do people want the truth? Or do you want the truth you want? Because I just say I want the truth, not the truth I want. Now, I want to believe, but I want the truth more. This is a good question. Shadow Fear. Patrick, what do you think about Elizondo's book? Will it be helpful? Danny Sheehan, I asked Danny Sheehan that in the interview, and he asked him if he thought it would move the needle, and he said yes. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to his book, 100%. I absolutely. I mean, a lot of people are. It's been years, right? Will it be helpful? Too hard to tell. And quantifying that will be hard because some people will view it as, yeah, it's helped here and it's done this. And other people go, no, it hasn't. You know, it just depends where you look and what metrics you're using and how do you even record that data? Who's recording that data, you know? So it will be a question each person will have to ask themselves. You know, will it help you? For me, it's more information. And I'm looking for more information because at this point, it's all I can get. Even if that information is just stories, you know, there's a side of it too that you can just look at it like entertainment in the sense of, all right, I just like listening to these things. It's interesting, compelling, right? That keeps me going. And it does. But if the question then becomes, well, do you believe? No, not until the things they said they're going to bring out come out. Then I'll believe it. You know, that's just it. But great question. Marcus says, shout out to Marcus. All I want is for Green Street to shut up. I don't even know what that means, but yeah, I agree on whatever he's talking about, right? Pebble says, thanks, Patrick. Awesome show today. Thanks to all the mods. Y'all are awesome. Yeah, man. Again, love that we all come together and talk about this and discuss and, you know, go to our Discord. If if you haven't already, and go sign up there. There are so many great conversations in there. People going back and forth about all kinds of topics. I'm not I allow everything in there, meaning you can post links to other shows, talk about other things. It's not like you got to be a vetted super fan to be in there. Not at all. I see people all the time. I didn't even watch, Vetted's video today, right? Like, I don't care. It's just a great place to go talk with other like-minded people about this topic safely, respectfully and intellectually. There's some really great conversations. You're going to learn, get a lot of links, a lot of things to go check out, different perspectives, have your thoughts kind of validated or invalidated. You can tell your stories in there. It's really, really great. So I highly recommend going and joining if you haven't already. The link's in the description. It always is there. It's free to join. Doesn't cost anything. So yeah, there's all kinds of channels. I do open mics in there where I jump on the mic and talk, and you can talk to me. You can put on your mic and talk directly to me, and we can have discussions about all kinds of things. So, and I will randomly just jump into open mics at, no set in time. I sat for like 6 or 8 hours one time in an open mic with some dudes. It was awesome. Right. So you never know what's going to happen in there. And there's all kinds of people having great conversations. So please go check out the Discord. It is a great place, because with Vetted, I'm not just trying to do these videos. I am trying to build a community, honestly, outside the UFO community, the vetted community, where we can safely talk about this and have discussions, where experiencers and skeptics meet together respectfully. That's what Vetted is. You have a lot of people that are skeptical, believers, and everything in between in there. And I love that. And the mods are the same way. I like having a range of different beliefs. It keeps everyone in check. It keeps us from going to one extreme or the other, or falling off the deep end one way or the other, right? Becoming way too skeptical, where you just don't believe anything about anything, or even keep open the possibility, or believing everything, taking it all in, just yes, yeah, that's also not good in my opinion. So like having all that together in one place, it's awesome. And look, I argue, find me another place like that that covers UFOs. I haven't seen one. It's why part of the reason why I turned Vetted into that, because it's not out there. For me, I was filling a hole that doesn't exist. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to wonder. When you're curious and you wonder, you're asking questions. Anyone in the phenomena is curious and wonder and ask questions as well. So everyone's allowed to ask questions. We wouldn't get anywhere. So anyway, look, thank y'all so much. Y'all are awesome. As Pebble said here, really love. Michael says, someone will show me how to use Discord. I'll join. Michael, it's really easy, man. If you click on the link, it'll take you there. You're going to have to download a program. So if you're on your phone, you have to download something. If you're on your desktop, you'll download. It's really easy. Once you get in, there's a way to contact support in our server, because it'll take you directly to our server. Just follow the instructions. I promise you, it's super, super easy to get in and start chatting. And you'll learn it as you go, because it took me a minute too. But getting in is pretty easy. But once you're in there, we're happy to help. And if there are any issues, please just, reach out on the contact form that I have on my website, vetted.show. If you have any issues, we can handle it. Or somebody here wants to jump in and go. So again, thank you guys so much. Really, I mean that. Thank you to the mods, first of all. It's not an easy job. So thank you to them. And thank y'all for just showing up, listening, having the conversation with me, and letting me ramble. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sundays, wherever you're watching this in the world. You're either going to bed, having a drink at night after a long, hard day, or you're just beginning. whatever it is, I wish you the best. So thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you guys on tomorrow's video. I've got some great interviews lined up for this week. So it's going to be another exciting week with VETTED. Let's see what kind of discussions we can bring to the forefront, because that's where change happens, in discussions. All right, y'all. As I always say, every day's a gift, y'all. There's some balloons. Peace, y'all.